Listen.
We're ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed. Senator Cayetano has the floor. Senator Soto wishes to interpolate.
Thank you, Mr. President. As rightfully manifested by Senator Cayetano, who was the previous majority floor leader, someone who has the floor has the floor. And once he yields, he has lost the floor, actually. So it is best that we continue with my interpolation on the speech of Senator Cayetano. So will the distinguished gentleman from Taguig yield to a few questions?
Yes, Mr. President, my privilege. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Thank you. In fact, Mr. President, I was just about to move for the referral of the speech of Senator De Lima and Senator Cayetano to the proper committees. In this case, perhaps Committee on Justice and then the Committee on Public Order. But my curiosity was aroused by a number of points that were raised by the two senators, Mr. President. So, inasmuch as Senator De Lima does not wish to be interpolated, I would like to pick the mind of the former Majority Leader on some of the issues she raised and also the issues that Senator Cayetano raised. Let me start, Mr. President, by the reaction of Senator Cayetano on a quote that I have read somewhere. It says, "A person has lost his human right when he destroyed the lives of many young people." Does a person lose, when does a person lose his human right? Or does he ever lose?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Majority Leader, Mr. President. But actually, it is a pregnant or trick question because basta't may hininga ka, in fact, kahit patay ka, may karapatan ka pa eh. Pag patay ka na, may karapatan pa rin yung, kaya may libel, di ba? Pagka yung memory nung patay ay inupakan mo, yung kung kanino mapupunta yung katawan o yung bangkay, karapatan ng mga kamag-anak mo yon. So, it is actually part of the political rhetoric when we say na yung mga pusher na yan, nasaan ang human rights because they destroyed the life of other people. And in the Duterte Cayetano campaign, we have heard that sometimes. But the President, during the time as a candidate, was always quick to explain and clarify that pwede mo lang patayin kapag ka lumaban. And he has said it time and time again, we will deal with the drug problem within the confines of the Constitution. But does a pusher or does a person lose some of his rights in certain stages of his life or of conducting a crime? Of course. For example, presumption of innocence. Pagka pumasok ka sa opisina ko ng 1 ng umaga, hindi ka naman nagpaalam, binuksan mo drawer ko, hawak ko mga dokumento, pumasok yung security ko o yung nagbabantay ng opisina ko at sinabi ko, hoy, ikaw magnanakaw. Hindi mo siya pwede i-libel, hindi mo pwede sabihin presumption of innocence. Para sa korte yon. Pagdating sa korte, we have to prove that nagnanakaw ka. But in that moment, the burden shifts to you for you to tell me bakit ka nasa kwarto at bakit mo hawak ang dokumento. So for example, Mr. President, Mr. Majority Leader, who is one of the leading fighters against drugs, no, not only during his term as Vice Mayor in Quezon City, but all the way here. Ilan beses niyo po sinubukan i-amend yung drug, yung anti-drug laws natin, and many times successful because, di ba nagiging problema yung kung kailangan kasama yung barangay, paano ko yung barangay kasama sa pusher, di ba? So yung the burden of proof, for example, for saying that someone is innocent, pagka buy-bust operation, naglabas na ng droga, yung bibilan mo, hawak na niya yung marked money, right there and there, the presumption of the police that you are a drug pusher, nag-shift. And right there and there, may presumption of regularity on the side of the police. So yes, may human rights pa ang tao kahit na anong sama ng ginawa niya. 'Di ba? For example, hindi tayo naniniwala sa hanging, sa firing squad. Kaya nung meron tayong death penalty, kaya nating ginawang lethal injection dahil naniniwala tayo sa humanity or meron human rights. Lastly, Mr. President, the Constitution says that there cannot be cruel punishment, cruel and unusual punishment. So that shows that kahit anong sama ng krimen mo, anong sama mong tao, ay pwede ka pa ring, meron ka pa ring karapatan, no? But that doesn't mean naman that pagka yung karapatan ng iba ay apektado na, supreme yung karapatan mo. So kung ako pusher, Mr. President, tapos nilabasan kita ng barel at sabihin ko, hoy, ikaw police, ako pusher, ako pwede kitang barilin. Ikaw, hindi mo ako pwedeng barilin. Mali tayo. At that point in time, I give up my right, no, not to be shot or not to be arrested because lumaban ako eh. So, Mr. President, that's my interpretation of, that statement.
There's a very thin line in the way I comprehend the answer of the gentleman, but I will take it as that. All right. I will leave it at that, although I was about to ask if... Well, let me ask it. What if there is a person who rapes someone and kills someone, may human right pa rin siya?
Meron pa rin. He has the right to a counsel, right to remain silent, right to a trial. So, meron pa rin siyang karapatan. Pero wala na siyang right sa freedom when he is when he's incarcerated. He will lose his political rights if he is found guilty. So there are inalienable rights like right to life that can only be lost when you threaten the life of another. But there are also rights that you can lose because of your actions, 'di ba? Karapatan mo ang companionship ng asawa mo. Pero kung hindi maganda trato sa asawa mo or kakaliwayan etc., hiwalayan ka, you lose that right, no?
All right, let me move on, Mr. President. I wanted to dwell on it, but never mind. I'm sure.
Well, I understand your point, Mr. Majority Leader, Mr. President. That is why I'm saying I agree with the former Justice Secretary. You cannot go around shooting people. But I disagree with the impression being made. The international community is also watching us when the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said about the extrajudicial killings of media. Our representative to the UN did not even defend our president-elect. He did not even question the Secretary General of the UN, who had no right to make that statement. That is not part of his powers. This is no tyrant, despot. He was the president-elect. He did not know the context, but it is there in the record. And there are people trying to be smudged or trying to smudge the reputation of our country and our president by making it appear that we are in the wild, wild west. On the contrary, Sir President, Mr. Majority Leader from Quezon City, umikot po tayo sa mga barangay ng Quezon City. It's much more quiet now. People are saying that they now have human security, they now have safety. They can now walk in the streets and hindi sila takot. So, yung pong nilalabas sa media na parang wild, wild west at kahit sino na lang babarilin, di ba, is just utterly false. No? Am I saying everyone who was killed is justified? No. Kaya nga dapat imbestigahan.
Right.
But I'm saying that the campaign of the PNP is bearing fruit, and we should in fact congratulate them.
That brings me to one of the cards that was flashed earlier by while Senator De Lima was delivering her speech. There was a mail online quote of the president that said, "Go ahead and kill drug addicts." I've never heard the president say that. I've heard him say that kill the pushers, but I've never heard him say kill drug addicts. Why did that find itself in a mail online headline, Mr.
Mr. President, that's why I wanted to ask the Justice Secretary and our colleague, because the President has clarified that numerous times. He even told us about the rehab center that he has built in Davao. And how can you kill the addicts? First of all, they're victims. Second of all, there's 3 million. That will be genocide. That's precisely my point, Mr. Majority Leader. No? While the victims are crying, imbestigahan mo kami, may mga ginagamit to na amplifier na pinapalabas na wala ng order sa atin at kaliwat kanan na lang ang patayan. You know? If you look at the crime index and you look at what is happening per city, you know, kahit sabi mo, 10, 15, 20 namamatay araw-araw, ito yung lumalaban ito yung dating hindi nuhuli na dati dinuduroan pa sa mukha ang mga pulis no? If you go to Tondo, for example, where I also have a project sa Palengke, panay bata ang ginagamit. At pag hinuli ang bata, ang sinasabi ng bata sa kapitan at sa pulis, bawal nyo kaming hulihin. Dahil alam nila yung batas So, we're not pointing fingers here, Mr. President. What we're saying is this. Our colleague, Senator De Lima said, there must be a better way. What is happening now is a better way than the past administration. Because at the very least, na-address ang problema ng droga. Is there a better way than this? I hope so. But let's come up with those suggestions. Let's use our congressional hearings to come up with that better way. Pero yung sasabihin mo lang iimbestigahan natin dahil there has to be a better way, that doesn't really do us any good because anyone can say there must be a better way, no? So anyone in the audience can stand up right now and say, Senator Cayetano, you're wasting our time. There must be a better way. But teach me, what is that better way, no? You know, yung sabog na pusher na hindi alam ang gagawin, na may hawak ng armas, sumpak, baril, kutsilyo, hindi mo pwedeng, hindi sane yan, Mr. Majority Leader. I mean, you would agree with me, di ba? So, hindi katulad ng ordinaryong kriminal na ng hostage or yung addict na ng hostage na pwede mo sabihin, you talk them down. You move people back, di ba? You don't shoot to kill. Pero yung pusher, nag-buy bust ka, tapos biglang naglabas ng baril, anong gagawin mo? Aatras ka, pababayaan mo una kang mabaril? So, that's my point, Mr. President. No? I agree, there must be a better way. What's that better way? But this way now is a better way than just neglecting dealing with the drug problem. And basically, that was what has happened in our country, not to point any fingers. All of us were looking for a better way. All of us did not think that a nationwide Davao style of anti-drug would work. But it's working.
When you say a better way, earlier, indeed, I heard Senator De Lima say there must be another way. No? Talking about the killings. And you're saying there must be a better way. I do not totally disagree, but I would propose there must be other ways. All right? Like why? How? How did we get to this situation, this illegal drug situation? Perhaps one of the issues that should be taken up by the committees when they handle it, the Committee on Justice and the Committee on Public Order, would be to check on how our government has handled Section 92 of Republic Act 9165. What is Section 92 of Republic Act 9165? It's the delay and bungling in the prosecution of drug cases. If we have prosecuted well these drug cases, perhaps it wouldn't be this way. It wouldn't need to go into the wild, wild west. The last time we heard, we asked during a budget hearing last year, there was almost 80% drug cases dismissed. 94%, according to Senator Lacson. So, perhaps in your hearings now that will be conducted, let us ask the Department of Justice to submit how many drug cases they have investigated under Section 92. Then let us ask the Supreme Court for statistics on how many drug cases have been dismissed. Who are these judges who keep on dismissing these drug cases? These are other ways to probably handle the problem of illegal drugs. And perhaps lastly, indeed,
Mr. President, let me just agree with you on that point. There are parallel, other, and there's much more that we can do. I will agree on that.
Thank you. And lastly, perhaps one of the bills that is pending in the Senate Well, I humbly propose that the PhilHealth cover the rehabilitation. Kaya hindi na-rehab yung iba mahal eh. Yung rehab centers ng gobyerno, puno. But if PhilHealth will cover it, everybody, pwedeng lahat ng member ng PhilHealth na may kamag-anak, pwedeng ipasok sa rehabilitation center. We informed the President about that and he totally agrees. So perhaps this is one of the issues that should be taken up by the Committee on Public Order, Justice and Human Rights, the Committee on Health, and report it out right away. This will help our situation right now, Mr. President. So I wish to thank the gentleman for his answers. There is an incoming speech, but in the meantime, allow me to move to refer the speech of Senator De Lima.
Senator
yes.
Pangilinan wishes to be recognized.
Speaker.
I
Mr. President, just before
I
that,
withdraw my motion, Mr. President.
on your last point, there must be other ways, and the PhilHealth, I agree. Once upon a time, Mr. President, when you say national security, there is only one aspect, national defense, armaments, training, military police. Right now, anyone who studies national security will include food security, the health of people as a problem of security, with the diseases that are going around, our situation of our electricity, cyber security, because you don't even have to launch a missile. That is why the time of President Arroyo, which is often quoted by President Duterte, is that drugs is a national security problem because the drug lords are running for mayor, running for Congress, running for governor, running for barangay captain, when they should be running away. Lastly, Mr. President, the Commission on Human Rights. All of us know the good chairman, all of us know that he dedicated his life to human rights and is a real advocate. Having said that, why is the Commission on Human Rights, bakit malayo sa tao? Because ang tingin ng tao ngayon, pag ikaw biktima ng pulis o ng militar, takbo ka sa human rights. Pagka ikaw ay may kamag-anak na napatay at hindi mapaliwanag takbo ka ng human rights. Pero kung ikaw ay biktima ng drug lord, anak mo nag-overdose, hindi ka ba pwedeng tumakbo sa human rights at magsumbong? Tingin ko pwede. Kasi na-violate yung human rights mo. But we do not hear them making noise or having some activities regarding that. So in the same way that national security has evolved, human rights has to evolve. If it is the right of every citizen to be safe in their community. Pero ang problema, ang tingin ng police, militar, NBI, PDEA, etc., BJMP, kalaban nila yung human rights. And I don't think nakalaban nila. They are here to protect everyone's right, except that sometimes we put them in a box as if ang human rights at national security yung dati pa rin. That's why I admire what the good Senator Soto has been saying. He's not only proposed the use of PhilHealth for rehab, he's proposed also which the President has already adopted, the teaching of anti-drugs or the harm of drugs in elementary schools, prevention. He's also talked about how PDEA can be a better agency than drugs. So all of these are very productive kasi droga ang problema eh. I'm just saying, meron sector ng society, I'm not saying it's our good senator, but ginagamit din ang bawat speech, ang bawat press release, etc. para palabasin ang problema natin ay hindi droga, ang problema natin ay human rights at saka summary killing. Kaya sabi nga, we're replacing one impunity for the other. There is no impunity. No one is saying that you can go around the country to kill people. We will jail anyone who murders someone. But help us give the police the pay, the equipment, the training to go after them. Alam mo po, Mr. President, 1/3 lang ng lahat ng investigador sa Pilipinas ang may formal training. Tapos galit tayo. Bakit yung pamilyang ganito, hindi maimbestigan, hindi malaman kung sino, walang pang fingerprint, walang pang ballistics, walang pang DNA test. Tayo ang Kongreso, tayo naglalagay ng pera eh. Imbis na mag-aksaya tayo ng panahon na magbintangat at finger pointing, the President himself said, let's stop finger pointing. But let's get these things done, Mr. President.
Thank you. The gentleman from
What is the-
Taguig. The Senator
Yes.
Pangilinan wishes to be
Senator,
recognized.
what is the
Mr.
pleasure of Senator Pangilinan?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I would like to know if the gentleman from Taguig would be willing to yield to maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Yes, Mr. President, it will be a pleasure.
Yes, Mr. President, the reason why I was persuaded to stand up and raise a few questions was the remark of the good gentleman from Taguig that he acknowledges that he wishes to also find better ways of addressing the issues at hand. And what ways are these? Mr. President, I'd like to know if the good gentleman, Senator Allen, will agree that the root of criminality is the inability of the justice system to punish the guilty in a fair and speedy process.
So, President, in a general way, it goes to philosophy. Some of us believe that humans are basically good but do bad things. But some of us believe that people are bad and are suppressed by the external law. So it will go to a philosophical discussion. Let me just put it this way. I agree with the good senator. If you have a system like Singapore,
Precisely.
na may ginawa kang krimen, in a few minutes, in a few hours, alam ko sino, and then kulong ka agad, and then we will have much less crime.
Precisely. In other words, if the system of justice is modern, efficient, able to punish the guilty, able to free and acquit the innocent, then we will not be where we are today in this manner, in this debate regarding extrajudicial killings, vigilantism, and the like, as well as drug abuse and drug syndicates.
For that matter, Mr. President, even President Duterte said, if ayos yung justice system, baka hindi siya ang presidente. Kung walang droga and there was no need for him, we might have been attracted to a different platform of a different person. So let me agree with Senator Pangilinan that yes, we do have a problem with the justice system, and yes, if we had a better or more efficient or working justice system, we wouldn't be discussing this right now.
In other words, strategically, if we are to finally resolve the issue of criminality, disregard for the rule of law, then the strategic direction should be: how do we modernize? How do we ensure that we have a modern, efficient, effective system of justice in the country?
In general, Mr. President, I will agree with that as an exception when you are nearing a narco state. So all other countries that improve their justice system dahil ang problema nila ay white-collar or blue-collar crime, poverty, murder. But when it comes to drugs, when you're nearing the narco state, it's not as simple as fixing the justice system, because people in the justice system or the drug lords penetrate the justice
No,
system.
regardless of whether it's a narco state or nearing a narco state, it's a question of if there is an effective justice system, we would not have reached a narco state status.
Yes, Mr. President.
Also, if we are faced with a narco state reality, then ultimately, still, a modern justice system is necessary for us to be able to eventually address not only drugs, smuggling, corruption, and other cases.
I agree, Mr. President, but in a non-narco state or non-drug that you have a problem with the justice system, even organized crime, there's no need for a sort of catharsis. Dahil kung nandyan ang pera, nandyan ang talent, nandyan ang
I agree.
But in a semi-narco state, it's much more complicated because you really need a reset. In Georgia, if I may just input this, when forgot the name of the president of Georgia, but there are 4 million people. No one believed the police. You know what he did, Mr. President? He fired every single policeman. You can get back your job as the police, but the burden was on you to prove that you were not corrupt, you're not into drugs, you're not into crime. He gave them a few months. Sabi niya, in a few months, pag hindi nyo inayos, tanggal kayong lahat ng police. Nangyari.
Mr. President, I see the point being raised by the good gentleman that we need perhaps outside the box approaches. We need a different. It was Einstein who said that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result each time is insanity. So I agree in the sense that perhaps the point being raised by our good senator from Taguig is that we have to do things differently. We have to be more creative. We have to find ways and means to be able to grapple with the problem, approach it perhaps with different lenses, ika nga, perhaps shifting paradigms even, so that we may be able to finally reach that modern justice system that we would like to have.
Agree, Mr. President.
Okay. That being the case, Mr. President, just to lay the premises, the slow system of justice has to be addressed. The average case life, if I'm not mistaken, in the first level courts is 6 years. That's precisely why there is frustration. That is precisely why there is the idea of shortcuts. If the shelf life of a case, for example, is only 18 months, yung mga provisions of law, yung mga trial, pagkatapos ng 18 na buwan, guilty, sentensya. Not guilty, released. Pagka ganun po ang mangyayari, hindi na ho magkakaproblema dito sa usapin po ng shortcuts. Number 2, 40% of our prosecution service positions are vacant. So, here are steps that have to be taken, another way of addressing, or another approach. Number 1, let us move towards reducing the shelf life of criminal prosecution in this country. How do we do that? Let us look at legislation. Let us look at perhaps ways of being able to bring down the delay in the disposition of cases. Number 2, fill up the vacant positions in the prosecution service. Maybe in the next 6 years, from 40% vacancy, let's bring it down to 15% vacancy, or maybe single-digit vacancy. That will perhaps create a fresh shot in the arm of the prosecution service. Obviously, if your vacancy is 40%, how can you speed up the disposition of cases laging walang prosecution, laging postponed? 3, the vacancies in our judiciary is almost 1/4. 25% vacant ang ating judiciary. Again, pagka nagpatong-patong ang mga kaso, delay na naman ang resolution of cases. My point, Mr. President, and this I hope our good gentleman, the good gentleman rather from Taguig, Senator Alan, will share with our President. The budget of the judiciary, I found out just this afternoon, is only 0.8% of the entire national budget. Only 0.8%. Not even 1% of the entire national budget goes to the judiciary. If you include the justice system, including the DOJ, perhaps it will be another 0.8%. 2% goes to a system of justice that hopes to be able to address all these corruption, criminality, drugs, etc. Palagay ko, kinakailangan din natin busisiin ito ng husto. Mahirap hong magtuturoan ho tayo, pero yung pinakapunot dulo, binibigyan pa po natin ng tunay at malawakang pagtugon doon sa problema ng criminality and rule of law. Ang ating conviction rates, if I understand it, or if I recall, tumaas na ho sa corruption cases. Pero kinakailangan pang i-sustain. Wala pa ho, mga 30% na ho ata ngayon. Dati ho, wala pang 15%. So nagdoble na. I may be mistaken, but it is still far, far away from Hong Kong or Japan, where the conviction rate in criminal cases in Japan, in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken, it's 80%. 80% of corruption cases end up in conviction. In our case, like I said earlier, if I'm not mistaken, it's around a little over 30%. Pag mas marami na pong napaparusahan, talagang mas magkakaroon ng takot sa ating mga batas at respeto. So, my last question, Mr. President, is this. Are you familiar with the JELAC, the gentleman from Taguig?
Yes,
Is
Mr. President, I think I was in the JBC with
That is correct.
Senator Pangilinan when he proposed that. And it is a good mechanism, and maybe he can explain it a little bit better since he was one of the prime movers for that.
Yes, the JELAC is the Joint Judiciary Executive Legislative Advisory and Consultative Council. It was convened in 2007, if I'm not mistaken, or 2008, under President Arroyo, Speaker Prospero Nograles from Davao, Senate President Manny Villar, as well as Chief Justice Renato Puno. It had only met twice, Mr. President, but in the 2 times that it convened, the JELAC was able to make the necessary recommendations and approval of the budget of the judiciary reaching 1%. In other words, it was a 20% increase in budgetary support for the judiciary. And precisely, budgetary support so that there is a strengthening of the rule of law and modernization of our system of justice. I think strategically, if we address the vacancies in the prosecution service, if we address the vacancies in our justice system, in the judiciary, if we address the unacceptable average of 6 years in terms of a case life in the first level courts, and work in the next 6 years towards reducing all that, then we will have a system of justice that will be swift, efficient, that will punish the guilty, and that will acquit the innocent. And I think the shortcuts will be a thing of the past, and respect for the rule of law. Not out of fear, per se, but out of realizing and trust that the system of justice is finally working, and the guilty are finally punished, and the innocent will always have their day in court.
Mr. President, may I just state for the record, all of us senators here, we have good ideas, and we speak alike. No? My father suggested to President Ramos and worked it out with the court for a special criminal court. It worked, but then they changed. Ngayon, nag-respond na rin ang Supreme Court, nag-create ng more courts for drug cases. I'm sure Secretary De Lima did her part in the DOJ, despite many things on her plate. But you know, all courses in criminology will teach you that it's never the process, never the penalty. It is always the certainty that you will be punished. And ang problema sa drugs, everyone thinks that they can get away with it. That's why people listen to President Duterte. Does he have all the answers? Maybe not. But does he have the one answer that charges into the fray and produce results? Yes. How do we know that? 2015 versus 2016, January to June, 30% less crimes already. Nag-umpisa pa lang, 31 days. So question, should we do the suggestions of the majority leader? Should we take up urgently the suggestions of Senator Pangilinan? By all means. Because all of this will come up with a holistic approach to everything. But what I'm saying, Mr. President, let's keep our eyes on the ball. Ang kalaban dito, pusher, hindi police. Ang kakampi dito, presidente, hindi siya kalaban. And if there are cases of extrajudicial killings, let us bring it to him as an institution. I will volunteer myself to take it to him. You can take it to him, Mr. President. Anyone here can take it to him. And he has already stated, he will go after those who have abused their position. May they be in the military, police. But to make sweeping statements at palabasin natin, ang pulis hindi ginagawa trabaho nila, sobra ang droga. Ngayon naman, ginagawa trabaho dahil maraming patay, berdugo naman sila, sala sa lamig, sala sa init. You know, they will be confused. So that is, I really, Mr. President, thought twice, said a short prayer before I stood up, because it's the right of everyone to speak here, and human rights is important to every country, to every person, to every nation. No? But the problem is, Mr. President, the human rights of each family na biktima ng droga is being violated every day. And finally, we have someone who made it his priority. It was on President Aquino's agenda. It was on President Arroyo's agenda. It was on President Era, President Ramos, all of our presidents. But we must agree that right now it's front and center. And if we are here to improve that program, to have oversight, to make sure it's being done well, by all means. But if we are here, and then we will try to, to smudge or to smear this program, or unwittingly be used by those who want to smear that program and make it appear that the policy of this new government is extrajudicial killings and we're in the wild, wild west, I must protest. And I must stand up to say, that's not what I fought for, that's not what I believe in, and that's not what's happening now. So, President, let me end with this. Nung nagmimerienda po tayo dyan sa likod, kanina nung nagbabasa ng mga bills, no? At birthday naman ni Senator Joel, kaya tama lang na magmerienda tayo dyan. Ang pinapalabas po nila, yung mayor ng Leyte na inaamin na ngayon na yung anak niya is into illegal drugs, nakasama ni Chief PNP, more popularly known as Bato. No? Question, if the President did not go 100% against drug, kung hindi sinabi sa mga pulis, back up ako, kung hindi sinabi sa pulis, pag lumaban, patayin niyo ako, tingin niyo yung mayor na yan lalaban? Di takot sa abogado yan eh. Di takot sa piskal, di takot makulong, di takot sa pera. And that's the typical drug lord. But to see that the administration is serious, and to see that the full force of the law will be used against you, including killing you if you fight back or use arms against the police, that is what moves people. So, Mr. President, let's join hands in ensuring that this is done in accordance with the Constitution and our laws. But let us support this worthy endeavor of our President and of our members of the PDEA, NBI, military, and PNP. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gordon is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, thank you very much. I'm actually standing here with mixed emotions at the moment. All of us are, I believe. So I wonder if my good friend, Senator Cayetano, will yield just a few questions.
Yes, Mr. President, it would be an honor to do so.
We were in the refectory a while ago when the distinguished gentle lady gave her privileged speech about drugs and the alleged extrajudicial killings that have been ongoing. If memory serves correct, I was once upon a time in America lobbying for veterans' rights. And one senator, I was then at that time with Senator Inouye, who was fighting for veterans' rights for us. One senator from, I believe it was Patrick Leahy, I was with the ambassador at that time, raised the issue that they're not going to give any aid to the Philippines because of extrajudicial killings. This is during the time of our previous administration. So, Mr. President, when we start talking about extrajudicial killings, there is a long history of extrajudicial killings in this country, if you will. And the sad truth about this, and I'm sure the gentleman will agree, that there has been nothing done to put a stop to this. Would you agree?
There's been little done.
Thank you. Upon the other hand, we are talking about impunity versus impunity today in these very hallowed halls of the Senate. The allegations that there is impunity in alleged extrajudicial killings, and the fact that we are reacting and we are seeing a phenomenon in our country that has not been seen in a long, long time. A president has been elected with 6 million votes majority precisely because he spoke out against the impunity of drug proliferation, of corruption, and now he's addressing it. The shoe is on the other foot. He is now being accused of alleged extrajudicial or tolerating extrajudicial killings. Would you agree with that statement?
I agree, Mr. President.
I heard our good friend and my fraternity brother, Senator Pangilinan, talked about what is the solution, and I was troubled. I didn't want to participate here, lest it might drop into my lap as a Blue Ribbon Committee chairman, and I wanted to keep my objectivity. But the fact remains is that we have been pounded in this country by apathy, by negligence, by our ability to solve the problem. We know how to fix the blame, but we don't know how to fix the problem. Would you agree with that?
Difficult to answer. Some of us have ideas, but difficult, Mr.
I'm sure you have, but
In
that's
spirit,
just
I'm
an
not in-
observation. I'm just asking you to agree or not. But the general tendency in this country is we know how to fix the blame, but when we start talking here in this august body as senators who are elected by the national populace, we're expected to provide solutions, and we're all seeking a solution to this problem. And so therefore, I hasten to say that when you go back, as an investigation, you go back to the crime scene and you go back to the preambles or the what preceded the crime scene, we can easily fix the blame and say, well, there is no enforcement. In our airport, our airports are very porous. In fact, it's not only drugs that come in, but yung dagdag bala, hindi nasosolve. Our shorelines are very porous. Drugs come in, and possibly another power could really destabilize us by just keep on bringing in drugs in our country. In fact, there is even a lawyer from Hong Kong now investigating or trying to represent alleged shabu smuggling in Subic Bay. And they're saying that the police have really tried to pin the blame on innocent Chinese individuals who happen to be aboard and confiscated drug materials or drug making equipment have been done. So if you go back and back and back and you go back to the penitentiary of this country, I'm aghast because it's not only happened in the last administration, but in the previous administration. You know, people, there are drug pushers there are criminals out there who are being given special privileges. Jacuzzis, women in prison, weapons, money, you name it, they have it. Isn't that correct?
Correct, Mr.
In fact, Your Honor, in the past, people are being allowed to escape from jail to kill people. When I was in the Senate, there was a drug lord who allowed somebody who was allowed to control practically the prison, and a judge was killed. And it landed on my lap, and we were able to find out from the police if they want to solve the crime, they were able to pinpoint the drug pusher or the drug lord in Congress who was already in jail. And so up to now, they're still able to, sa Tagalog, nahahasik pa sila ng lagim at dilim sa ating bansa. So obviously, there is apathy, there is negligence, there is something that deliberately there is a poison even among our law enforcement authorities, even among the people running the jails, the justice system, the judges. I remember the father of one of our senators here, Mayor Estrada, when he became president, said, let's kill all the pushers. There was even a movie about that. There was even statements made by the good president at that time saying that there are hoodlums and robes. And yet, we're still here. So we can keep on going back and back and back. And still, apparently, there has been nothing done about the problem. And so, Mr. Chairman, it behooves us here today, as I said a while ago to our good friend Senator Villar, you know, ever since I've been in the Senate, we keep praying and we all try to invent a better prayer than the last prayer the day before. But apparently God does not listen. Because we keep praying and saying, oh, this is a good country, we can do this and that. But up to now, our prayers apparently have been falling on deaf ears. I hope I'm not doing a blaspheme event here, but certainly this is what I'm seeing here today. The good Justice Secretary was Justice Secretary when all these things happened, and she may very well say that I was the one who started the investigation. But the fact remains is there is still command responsibility all the way up to the President of the last administration when they did not stop this proliferation of drug lords, these abuses in the penitentiary, or for that matter, could I ask the question now that there is killings nowadays, or there are killings nowadays, because I'm surprised. I have not heard a drug lord, really a big drug lord, killed on the streets of our country. What I see are drug pushers, and to a certain extent, unfairly or fairly. There is statement even by that Pieta image of a photograph that came out in the newspapers that says we may have killed the innocent, or for that matter, they killed their own case when the wife even admitted that the guy who was killed was also taking drugs. So everybody seems to be stained. Everybody seems to have the blood of Cain in our persons. So, Mr. President, I don't know really what the solution will be, but I do know this. We have to start somewhere. And if there is a reduction in crime today, as the good gentleman from the GIB would have us believe, the fact remains is there are also, and there's also an uneasy feeling even amongst us, even among the people that want the pushers eliminated, that we are on a very slippery situation when people are being killed everywhere and nobody knows who's doing the killing, and we just say vigilante killing. When in fact, you can very well ask the policeman, bakit alam nyo ngayon bigla na nababaril nyo at sinasabi nyong pusher yan? Were you handling them before? That question may very well be asked, isn't it? And I think we will all agree to that. Even whatever party, whatever president we had, we may very well agree to that fact. And so, Mr. President, there are processes here. To the good gentle lady, and I hope she doesn't misinterpret me, when we accuse the police of something, we must be ready to present the evidence. And you don't have to, Your Honor. I accepted, and I did not ask for the Blue Ribbon Committee. I accepted it out of duty as a senator. But the point is, I am not a policeman who will investigate. I'm just here to go in aid of legislation. And when I look at the situation, Mr. Chairman, is it not true that we have, a law? We do have a law, Republic Act 85-51, that when a policeman is involved, when a firearm is discharged, there is that automatic provision that automatically an investigation must be conducted by the Internal Affairs Service. Not by Human Rights, not by the Senate, but by the Internal Affairs Division. We crafted that law here. I was not part of it, but it was crafted before me. Is it that right?
That's correct, Mr.
And so therefore, we should allow that law that was crafted in this Congress to take its course. For example, we don't have to go far, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. When a policeman is involved with somebody who's already in handcuffs and a firearm is grabbed, there is a smoking gun right away. No one is going to believe that a guy, especially in this atmosphere where people are being killed, maybe it can go 50-50. The guy says, I'm going to be killed. I may as well have a chance where he grab his gun. But upon the other hand, when there are 3 policemen holding him and in his handcuffs, it is unlikely that he would grab the gun. And so therefore, he would be killed. Isn't that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. President.
So you see, Mr. Chairman, where is the Internal Affairs Services in this picture? Perhaps that is the question we should ask. Perhaps we should ask the PNP head by the name of Bato or Colonel De La Rosa, not to be Bato in coming out with an investigation. Not to be niggard, not to be kuripot in coming out with an investigation, that in these areas where there is a chance to find out whether the policeman had properly discharged their firearm or killed somebody, that he has to explain, and that immediately there must be a report. And that all these vigilante killings must be investigated nonetheless, and we should not just, wipe our hands clean of it. Upon the other hand, I cannot help being a victim of crime myself to realize that my own father was assassinated by a person who was allowed to escape from prison and then was going to be brought back. And that is why I cannot go on either side of the coin here. I tend to agree that siguro dapat talaga, out of desperation, the people of this country is willing to look the other way just to get rid of the problem. In the same manner, I'm not ready to look at the other way to say we will have the death penalty when, in fact, I heard here instances where we say there's very little judges, there are very few fiscals, and the investigation, and I heard you say there's only one additional crime laboratory that is now going to be added, and that is why I worry about the death penalty. I'd rather have that guy in jail rather than make a mistake in the investigation. And this is exactly where we are today. We are dealing with incomplete scenarios. But it is our duty to make the law work, to let this Republic Act 8551 come here. I'm not going to advise my good friend, Senator De Lima, that she is out of line, but I think it might be premature, and forgive me if I may say that, because unless you have evidence, and you're right, some policemen may be doing their job, some policemen may be taking advantage of the situation, eliminating these pushers, but it is the right of the Senate also to say, where are the drug lords? That is what we want to see. The drug lords must be prosecuted, not persecuted, prosecuted, so that we can really actually believe. And I believe the President of the Philippines, and I believe him because he was a mayor like me, and I believe that he is really sincere about peace and order. It is an act of national desperation, that which is going on. That when our children are afraid, you know, we're recommending traffic, for example, be solved. I'm recommending that many of the people who own cars go take school buses. But I am ready to say we must have police or marshals guard the school buses so we can convince them. Because parents are afraid their children could be waylaid, given drugs, and the whole cycle repeats itself again, a curse to a family. So, Mr. President, I just would like to add these points into the discussion. Perhaps it's important, and I would like to acknowledge the position of Senator Cayetano, because he gave us points of view that are important. But we must not also be precipitate. Congratulations are in order when 13% of the crime rate has gone down. But at the same time, we must tarry a little and say, congratulations will be in order when we can be assured that the drug lords, the guys that have to be in jail, must be in jail. And therefore, more must be done to be able to get this done. I am certainly in support of the President of the Republic of the Philippines when he goes after, I have not heard him say, kill any addict. You know, I'm a mayor, and as mayor of a local city, especially a tough city like Olongapo when I was there, or Davao City in the case of Mayor Duterte, you will forgive, and I will address my good friend, the Human Rights Commission. You know, we are also allowed excesses in our language. We have to tell the public that, hey, we're going to go after you hammer and tongs. That's part of the psychological warfare which we do. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to condone killing. And that is why it behooves all of us here to find the necessary solutions, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, to this problem. Not just to talk about it, and it's good to talk, because we are here to find solutions, not just fix the problem. And so we thank God in this prayer that we have senators who can still stand up here on both sides. The other side represented by Senator De Lima, concern, and the other side headed by Senator Cayetano, who practically right now is listening to the voices of the people saying, hey, there must be a solution. It cannot be just all rights. There's got to be a concomitant duty. And that is why, in the next Constitutional Convention or Constitutional Assembly, I will aspire to put in a committee on duties and obligations of citizens and not just a Bill of Rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President. I hope I did not tax your patience by delivering that long discourse.
Sir President,
Senator Cayetano.
I'd just like to assure Senator Gordon that the drug lords are also being addressed. Some of the police identified, some of the mayors identified, they might not look like drug lords because you might not see their airplanes, yachts, etc. But I totally understand and feel the same way that eventually this crusade has to include the people who are pulling the strings, not only the people who are selling. But let me say that this is phase one, and getting the drugs out of the street is much easier if you go against the pushers underneath. To balance that with the human rights, as lawyers, all of us here were taught that it's better to see 1,000 guilty people go free than to unjustly jail one innocent person or kill one innocent person. But may I just remind our colleagues, when this famous quote as this famous quote is being repeated, when it was first said, there wasn't synthetic drugs yet. Wala pang shabu. Diba? So it is still valid and we should still follow it. But let me amend it in this way. While we try to put the 1,000 guilty in jail or bring them to justice, and why we try to avoid that even one be falsely accused, every single day there is one innocent being sold drugs, mind being distorted, mind being destroyed, lives being destroyed. So in an ordinary crime, karnaper ako, Senator ba may-ari ng kotse, it's easy to say he's innocent, I'm guilty. But in the crime against drugs, every victim is an innocent victim, you know, that we cannot ignore. So let me stop there and thank our colleagues for arguing passionately, and maybe we can find a common solution, Mr. President.
Let me just state, Mr. Chairman, with your permission again, Mr. President, that I am not a critic of the President at the moment. But let me just state also that the President has taken a huge step that no other President has done. That is to identify 5 generals, whether fairly or unfairly. It sends a huge signal that nobody will be exempted. The very fact that mayors, as we saw in the refectory a while ago, and his son are being presented before television is, I think, very important, because we're dealing with the perception of extrajudicial killings, but also dealing with the perception that big fish, like generals, are now being accused by no less than the President of the Republic of the Philippines, which is a good sign, at least as far as I'm concerned, with all due respect, for democratic principle or democratic rights. When those 5 generals were unmasked by the President, I heard, and I'm not going to call them bleeding hearts, some of them were saying, hey, you violated the rights of this general. My God, you know, I authored the plebs as a mayor, and I said policemen have an extraordinary amount of power under the social contract theory. We provide you with firearms, and when you use those firearms against the citizenry, we have the right administratively to have you suspended, even expelled, and pending appeal, you lose your job. In the same manner that you quoted chapter and verse the Georgian president who removed all the policemen and told them to perform their duties so that they can come back. And that is the point that I'd like to make. There is an effort, lest I be misunderstood right now, to address that problem. And the President has caught, I mean, many of us want to be president of this country. In this, they say there are 24 presidents here in this chamber. I'm sure that is not far from the truth. And I will not be a hypocrite, but I can tell you that as far as I'm concerned, when the President of the Republic unmasks 5 top generals and say, I'm laying it on the line, and 2 of them are going to be charged according to the National Police Commission, and I hope it goes on, that will be a great day in this country, and I'm pretty sure that nobody, including congressmen, senators, or even cabinet members, or governors and mayors who are involved with drugs, will be able to sleep nights, because now people will know that it has been done to the big guys, and therefore it's a time for the poor to have their day in court and to get justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all the senators who participated in the discussion. Majority
Yes,
Leader.
Mr. President, I move to refer the speech of Senator De Lima, Senator Cayetano, and the interpellations with it to the Committee on Justice and Human Rights and the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, Mr. President. I so move, Mr. President.
There is a motion to refer the privileged speeches of Senators De Lima and Cayetano, as well as the interpellation, to the Committees on Justice and Human Rights and Public Order and Dangerous Drugs. Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President.
We recognize Senator
What is the
Ontiveros.
pleasure of Senator Ontiveros?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise on a brief matter of personal and collective privilege by way of reflection on the very first, on the personal and collective privilege of the good Senator Cayetano.
There is a motion on the part of Senator Ontiveros to be recognized on a question of personal and collective privilege. Is there any objection? There being none, Senator Ontiveros is recognized.
Salamat po, Mr. President. I believe that the good Senator De Lima is not at all out of line or premature in her personal and collective privilege. Not at all out of line dahil po pinaaalalahanan niya po tayo sa ilang mga mahalagang bagay na posibleng nalilimutan natin in the heat of the moment. And not at all premature dahil kung tama po ang ilang mga bilang ng mga napapatay na nating kababayan at kapwa-tao ay umaabot na po sa 1,000. And if that's not premature, Mr. President, I don't know what is. The criminal justice system po, na dinitalye po ni the good Senator Cayetano, yung mga frustration nating mga kababayan sa dating normal sa criminal justice system, which naman the good Senator Pangilinan worked on a lot sa kanyang pioneering work sa judicial reform kasama ng Bantay Katarungan. Precisely, Mr. President, yan ang tinukoy din ni the good Senator De Lima, na sa halip ng iba pang paraan na maaaring kasalukuyan na o eventually maging masyadong napakamadugo at lumalabag na sa karapatang pantao, ituring natin yung ating atensyon sa pagsasaayos ng iba't ibang sangay ng criminal justice system para mas maayos at kumpleto nilang magawa ang kanilang trabaho. Yung Philippine National Police, isa po sa pillars ng ating criminal justice system. And may I say, Mr. President, yan ang isa sa pillars ng criminal justice system na pinakamalapit din sa puso ko. Dahil ang late husband ko, si Frank Barakel, ay naging isang PNP officer din. At kahit po si Chief PNP, Doroy de la Rosa, mista o kaklase sa Philippine Military Academy ng aking late husband at kaibigan ko rin. Kaya I share the concern ng iba't ibang colleagues dito sa Senado, mula kay the good Senator De Lima hanggang kay the good Senator Cayetano at iba pang nagsalita na suportahan ang PNP na gawin ng higit pang maayos ang kanilang trabaho. Lalo na, kahit na at lalo na, sa gitna nitong masalimuot, napakamapanghamon at napakamapanganib na kasalukuyang sitwasyon. Yung sinabi din po ng the good Senator Cayetano na proportionality laos na. Never, Mr. President, may we say that proportionality is passé. Sa ilalim po ng international humanitarian law, ang proportionality ang isa sa last lines of defense para kahit sa panahon ng armadong labanan, hindi maganap ang pinakamasahol na mga crimes against humanity. Kahit po sa law enforcement ng ating kapulisan at iba pang sangay o pillars ng criminal justice system, importante po ang proportionality. Parang nag-iisang mamamayan na binibigyan ng karapatan at proteksyon ng ating saligang batas kapag kaharap ang napakapangyarihang Estado at ang kanyang armed services ay mayroong pa rin itong karapatang pantao at due process. Proportionality can never be laos, Mr. President. Kung tignan din natin ang karanasan ng Estados Unidos sa ngayon, kung saan naging problema na yung tinatawag nilang police brutality. At ayaw nating umabot sa ganyang antas yung ating sariling Philippine National Police. The Ferguson case, si Michael Brown po, yung African-American na biktima dyan. Michael was fatally shot just for making a grunting sound. He had his hands in the air when he was shot. 2 days ago, sa Amerika pa rin ito, 18-year-old Paul O'Neill was shot to death. He was black and unarmed. Young black men killed in the U.S. by police, umabot na po sa 1,134 deaths sa taong 2015 pa lamang. This is what non-proportionality does. At ayaw na ayaw po nating maging ganyan din po tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Sinabi rin po, konti pa ang pinapatay ngayon. Nakakabahala masyado yung ganyang pananalita. Bagamat kilala ko po ang the good Senator Cayetano sa aming mga personal na pag-uusap, isa sa pinaka-kindest spoken sa mga mambabatas na kilala ko. Pero pag sinabi po natin, konti pa ang pinapatay ngayon, by some counts, umaabot na sa mga 1,000 ang napapatay, hindi po konti iyan. At kahit nga isang tao ang namatay o pinatay na iniisip natin extrajudicially o hanggang sa ngayon ay hindi maipaliwanag, yan po ay sobra. Hindi po yan kulang. Nabanggit ng ang Commission on Human Rights at masaya po ako kasama natin sa gallery ang isang habang buhay na human rights advocate, CCHR Chairman Chito Gascon, nasabi po na malayo na sa tao ang Commission on Human Rights, kalaban ng ilang mga armed services at criminal justice agencies ng ating pamahalaan. Sa tingin ko po, Mr. President, hindi po yan ang sitwasyon ngayon at isa po ang ating institusyon ng Senado upang ipaalala sa ating mga mamamayan kung bakit ang isang constitutional body tulad ng CHR ay kailanman isang kaibigan ng mamamayan at isang partner ng mga executive agencies natin, pati po yung armed services sa ganap na pagganap ng kanilang mga tungkulin sa pinaka-epektibong paraan na laging sinasaalang-alang pa rin ang mga usapin ng karapatang pantao at due process. Yung Internal Affairs Service ng ating PNP, maging tayo sa Senado, o yung IAS, tingin ko ay in their best moments, ma-appreciate pa nga nila ang aksyon ng CHR at maging natin sa Senado. Kung i-parallel natin sa kanilang efforts, umalam kung ganap na pinatupad ng kanilang mga opisyal at kawani ang kanilang Manual of Operations sa mga kaso na may mga tanong ang ating publiko. Si MJ Pavia po, alam niyo po, Mr. President, si MJ Pavia, pinakaingatan ng kanyang mga magulang na mga kasama natin, Mr. President, nung tayo ay nasa kolehiyo pa, mga magulang niya na mga guro din sa Ateneo High School. Pinakaingatan nila nung panahon ng kanyang burol hanggang kanila siyang inilibing na huwag makulaya ng anumang ibang spekulasyon ang kanyang teribleng pagpatay. Inilayo nila sa anumang usaping pampolitika, sila yung unang nagsabing saan ba nanggaling yung may anggulong robbery dahil hindi po talaga totoo yon. At sa gitna ng kanilang teribleng sakit sa kalooban nila sa nangyari sa kanilang anak, hanggang ngayon wala pa silang anggulo, di nila maintindihan. Sa gitna nito ay nakuha pa nilang sabihin sa kanyang huling misa bago ilibing, salamat sa pagdarasal ninyong lahat para sa aming anak, pero higit pa para sa kanya, sana ipagdasal po ninyong lahat ang ating inang bayan. Dahil sila rin po ay nababahala sa iba't ibang klase ng karahasan na pumapatay sa mga tulad ng kanilang anak. Pumapatay sa mga kabataang Filipino, pumapatay sa mga Pilipino. Colombia, Mr. President, ang Colombia ang pinakakulelat na modelo sa anti-crime, anti-drugs campaign in terms of yung aktual na epekto nito sa kanilang lipunan sa usapin ng pagsupil sa problema ng illegal na droga at trafficking. Di tulad po sa Vietnam at Malaysia, di tulad po sa Mexico at Argentina na may mas maayos na pagtimbang sa balanse ng criminalization ng droga at law enforcement laban sa illegal drugs at yung pag-up ng pagpapahalaga nila, pagpapatupad ng harm reduction strategies. Kontra sa mga halimbawang iyan, yung Colombia ang pinakakulelat sa mga bansang iyon. And sad to say, ang nangyayari sa ating bansa sa ngayon na dumarami yung mga extrajudicial o di kaya unexplained killings, yan din po ang naging phenomenon sa Colombia. At ang kanila pong nahihita sa ganyang klasing pamamaraan o pagbibigay daan sa ganyang pamamaraan, wag po sana nating abuting, Mr. President, na lalo lamang napalakas ang kamay ng mga drug cartel na totoong may narco state dyan. Hindi pa tulad dito. at mas maraming tao ay patuloy na nabiktima doon in terms of aktwal na paglabag sa karapatang pantao, masamang epekto sa public health, at pag-diminish sa effectivity ng law enforcement agencies. 13% drop in crimes. Paki-disaggregate po natin yan. May 13% drop in crimes po ba sa drug-related crimes? May 13% drop po ba sa murders o killings? Mukhang hindi po, ganyan ang statistic. May 30 o di kaya may 13% drop po ba sa ibang index and non-index crimes? I would hazard to guess, Mr. President, na dahil sa criminalization and yung violence-laden nature ng nagiging tugon sa ating kasalukuyang illegal drugs problem, in fact, ay tumataas pa ang krimen sa ating bansa. Last reflection, Mr. President, bleeding hearts and human rights. Mr. President, just as sana masabi natin na di kailanman ginamit ang karapatang pantao bilang shield o excuse para wasakin ang ating bansa, hindi rin po bleeding hearts lamang ang pagiging human rights advocates nating lahat. Bleeding hearts po, simpleng sentimentality. Napakadaling pong gawin yan. No risk po. Hindi po humihingi ng malaking pagtataya mula sa atin. Pero ang ginagawa po ng CHR, ang ginagawa po nating lahat ng mga human rights advocates, ang ginagawa po ng mga pamilyang naghihingi ng paliwanag sa hindi maipaliwanag na pagpatay ng kanilang mga mahal sa buhay. Yan po ay isa ring sa kabila ng lungkot at galit nila, sa kabila ng takot at pangamba natin, yan po ay isang napaka-practical na usapin, Mr. President. Dahil gusto po nating ayusin ang law enforcement sa ating bansa, gusto po nating magkaroon ng isang multi-perspective approach para sugpuin ang ating seryosong problema sa illegal drugs and trafficking para hindi tayo umabot sa pagiging narco-state dahil hindi pa tayo nearing narco-state. At gusto po natin, Mr. President, ilaan sa ating mga kababayan ang mga usapin kasama nitong maayos na law enforcement, kasama ng pagtaguyod ng karapatang pantao, lahat pa po ng public goods na hinahanap ng ating mga mamamayan, kasama na po yung universal healthcare. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Ontiveros.